Define what your brand stands for, its core values and tone of voice, and then communicate consistently in those terms. Simon Mainwaring. On today's episode, I am speaking with a lady on her second act in life and business. I am also pretty sure she can kick a 6'2", 250-pound guy's butt in a street fight if she had to. You have the power to be the boss of your own life. I'm your host, Monica Allen. I'm a wife, mom, entrepreneur, best-selling author, lifelong learner, and your biz bestie. I have a love and passion for all things small business. Growing my own company from $700 to over 7 figures annually, my goal is to bring you inspiration, business-focused topics and tips, encouragement, and a community that helps you launch, grow, and scale your business, whether you are a dreamer, a side hustler, or a seasoned entrepreneur. You are listening to the Become Your Own Boss podcast. This week's episode is brought to you by Wix Design Her. I recently launched my branded website, monicaallen.com, which is built on the Wix platform. I think my website is not only functional, but is also beautiful. It is also extremely easy for me to update. So don't cut corners and DIY your website. The quality of your website reflects the quality of your business. So be sure to put your best foot forward online with Wix Design Her. You'll get a beautiful website that will kickstart your business in style. Check out wixdesignher.com and start growing your business today. I am thrilled to share with you my interview with Jacqueline Perez, or Jack as she prefers. Jack is about my height, 5'1", 5'2", with the strength of a 6-foot guy. When I first met Jack in person, she had recently been injured during a skydiving accident. Despite the pain she was in, she got on a plane and flew to join a group of us in Nashville. She could barely hug any of us due to her back pain. However, when I saw her just 6 months later, she was healed. She gave me one of the strongest hugs I have ever had. She could have broken my back, actually, and taught a kickboxing class as well. Jack is an avid jump roper, Peloton fanatic, and a 3rd-degree black belt in Taekwondo. With all of this energy and strength, I had to sit down with Jack to talk to her about her second business that she started 5 years ago, Kuel Life. Please take a listen to my interview with Jack. Hi, Jack. I'm so happy to have you on the podcast today.
Oh, Monica, I'm so thrilled to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, I'm so excited about this conversation because I want everyone to know all about your business, Kuel Life. So first, start off by telling us, what was the catalyst for you to start this business?
That's a great question, right? Because we don't start things typically unless something triggers us, right? And in this case, what triggered me was a physiological change, a physiological transition, which interestingly enough, Monica, happens to every other human on the planet if they live long enough, which is called menopause. And I said that kind of in a funny little way to prove a point, because my point is that when I went through that transition in my early 50s, I got every symptom you could think of. There's a ton of symptoms. Luckily, not everyone exhibits those symptoms. A lot of women just sail through that transition with, nary an issue at all. And that's wonderful. But some of us don't get that. Some of us actually get acted upon from the physiological change. And it was horrible. I wasn't myself. And we're talking like everything from, somewhat typical weight gain. I had gained like 30 pounds, but there was also bigger problems. I had trouble regulating my emotions, Monica. I also had major brain fog. And also for the first time in my life, I became an anxious person, which if you know me, and you do, because we've become friends, which is really fun. But if you know me, anxiety is not one of my issues. I've got a million of them. We all do. That one just doesn't happen to be mine. And I got to tell you, my heart goes out to anyone who deals with anxiety on an ongoing basis. But back to your question. So when I was going through this transition, I was miserable. I wanted to help myself. What do you do, right? Where do we go? Where do people go now for information? We turn to the internet, right?
Yes.
Because we don't go to the library anymore. And I did go to some doctors, but I kept being told, oh, you're just getting older. You're just getting older. I'm like, well, no, don't tell me the obvious. I know I'm getting older. What can we do about all of these symptoms that are causing me to have a very poor quality of life?
Mm.
And the idea, I plan on sticking around for a really long time. I take really good care of myself. And I want to continue to live a very big and adventurous and bold life. The only way I could think to do that was to solve the issues. I couldn't solve them. I couldn't find the information. And so I got so frustrated. And I thought, well, I can't be the only human. I can't be the only woman out there facing these issues and also feeling alone. So I built it. I built a digital platform as a repository so that we can bring important, relevant information that is on point for us women in midlife and beyond in one place. So women can go find the answers that they're seeking. I was incredibly frustrated. That was a very long answer to your question.
No, but it's a point, because it's a very good point, because with most of us, when we start our businesses, we start off because we had the problem. A lot of times it's our issue, it's our problem. And we're like, how can we get this answered? How can we get this fixed? And if no one's out there to help you, you started it. I love that. That's awesome. And so tell me real quick, and I know this is kind of, I think this is more of a fun question, but Kuel Life, where did the name come from? How did you come up with that?
I fancy myself as pretty cool. The regular.
And you are.
Thank you.
Are.
The regular. Don't ask my son, but I fancy myself pretty cool. I also wanted to continue to live this cool life, right? I mean, in my opinion, there's a huge chasm between mini skirts and Depends, adult diapers. That space right there, that's the cool life that we're living. But COOL, not patentable, right? You can't trademark that word. But Urban Dictionary, I went out to Urban Dictionary and I Googled or searched for the word cool, COOL, and the word cool, KUEL, came back as a synonym. And when I Googled that and saw that it wasn't taken, I'm like, score, it's mine now. So that's how that happened. I mean, there's not a lot of thought went into it other than I just needed cool in the name.
No, and I love that. You are cool. I mean, you have so much energy. You jump out of planes. You're a black belt. You put cool in cool, Jack.
I don't jump out of planes anymore, Monica, though.
I know you stopped doing that, but the fact that you even did it is amazing to me. I think you're pretty cool. Now, I know you've been on the entrepreneurial journey for quite some time because you had a business prior to Kuel Life. What are some of the things in that first venture that you've brought into Kuel Life with you?
Wow, that is a great question. So much, right? And I think it's funny because you said, what are the things that you brought into? I immediately went to, well, there are some things that I wish that I would tell myself, right? Because it's always like that cobbler, who has the crappiest shoes, right? The cobbler's kids, right?
Right.
But one of the things that I learned from my experience, and what I used to do, Monica, was, at the time I was married and I was living in California, in San Francisco, and my husband and I started a marketing and PR boutique firm. We basically launched businesses from, back of the napkin ideas to launch. And that included everything from messaging and positioning, website, launch event, press, you name it. Mm-hmm. Messaging and positioning is so key. Everyone knows this, right? There's so much noise in the world, so much noise, and there's so much competition to get any sort of visibility or mind share that you have to be uber clear and specific about what it is that your message is and what your position is in the marketplace. And then ad nauseum, you have to repeat it until you want to poke your own eyes out. You laugh,
yeah,
but
that's true.
It's true. There are times where I'm like, just think of some other way to say it. I'm like, no, you may not think of another way to say it. You have to say it exactly the same way. And I learned that because I used to have to beat up my clients because they get, creative and they go off script. And I'm like, okay, you just confused an entire room of people. They have no idea who you are anymore. What happened to everything that we came up with? Why'd you go off script? So for me, getting to that nugget and then staying on message over and over and over again, regardless of how I feel about it,
Right.
that is definitely one of the things that I learned just by being in that space for so long and helping launch. I probably have launched 200 to 250 companies worldwide by now.
Wow.
So I finally decided I wanted to birth my own baby, and that's why I launched Kuel Life. I wanted it to be mine, if that
Right.
makes any sense.
Totally makes sense. And what's your messaging around Kuel Life that you repeat over and over?
Well, I'm a pro aging champion, and Kuel Life is set out to normalize aging for women. And how Kuel Life does that is through highly curated content from global thought leaders and women-driven brands. And that's what we do. That's all we do. We do it day in, day out, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. You want information about the opportunities and challenges that come up at this season of life, you'll find it on Kuel Life. And because we have access to, wow, I think now we're at 57 thought leaders from around the globe. And you're a thought leader on the site. You're helping, right? Because here's the thing. So many entrepreneurs today are women after 50. We make the largest percentage of startups. And what better platform than to provide the information about, okay, you're trying to start a business. You're a woman in midlife. You have your particular challenges and opportunities that are very specific to that. Now you can find information on Kuel Life about that as well. So we address almost anything that's relative or relevant, I should say, in this space, in this midlife space.
Yes. And I love that because you literally touch on everything from, you're talking about menopause, but everything dealing with midlife, fashion, makeup. Gosh, there's so many things. Finances.
Empty nest.
Yes.
Dry vaginas. Nobody likes those.
Not comfortable at all. But exactly. I mean, every single
topic.
I
think I got you to blush, actually.
Just a little bit. I think every subject you can think of is covered on Kuel Life. And that's what I love about it. I think it's absolutely wonderful. Even before you get to what's considered midlife, it's a great site to check out because you will know what's coming and you'll know what to expect.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because in looking at our analytics, half of our readership are people below 44 and below, which implies to me exactly what you're saying, Monica, that we're curious. Women are curious about what's coming, and they're not as in the dark as my generation, as I was, and so many women. I'm 57, right? So I am technically a baby boomer, but I'm not. I'm a Gen Xer. I was raised a Gen Xer. Yeah, I don't identify as a boomer, but it doesn't really matter whether you're a boomer or Gen Xer or an elder millennial. I believe now we are starting to see and hear more and more about all the amazing opportunities that come to us at this time of life and how to take advantage of them and how to seize them. And then also, like, if things aren't going well, sharing that with other women and learning from other women about how they have dealt with the issue. That can help us, right? Because
Yes.
there's nothing worse than feeling like you're in the dark and that you can't find the information. You can't help yourself. I don't want women to feel that way. I don't want women to feel alone. I want them to know they're in good company, because between the baby boomer women, the Gen X women, and the elder millennials, we outnumber any other population cohort currently on the planet. So there is no reason a woman should feel alone at this time in life.
Totally agree. And that's what I was going to say. No one wants to be alone in their whatever you're dealing with, and to know that you have someone or somewhere to go to get this information and to connect with other ladies is very exciting. I love that because you have somewhere where you can go get this information. All types of information is available to you on Kuel Life, and that's great. So, Jack, I'm so glad you started the platform. Another question for you. Where would you like to see Kuel Life in 5 years?
I want Kuel Life to be the quintessential place that is reliable, dependable, where women can go to share and learn from each other and also play, right? Because if it's not fun, why bother to do it? And then I've also added a curated shopping experience so that we can support other women entrepreneurs and purchase with a purpose. Because why wouldn't you want to buy from a fellow woman if you can, right? I mean, if the
Right.
quality is good and the inventory is there and it meets your needs, make that extra step, right? And buy directly from another woman because you know that dollar, where that dollar is going. And so in 5 years from now, I want Kuel Life to be visited by millions of women. I want it to be there for millions of women so that they don't feel alone and they can access the information that they need to live a cool life and not feel like they have turned invisible or that they're not relevant. And honestly, Monica, I know I'll be successful when I see the major brands paying attention.
Yeah. And they will start paying attention. I mean, as you pointed out, the numbers who fall into this group of women is huge. And we all know that we spend money, we buy things, we enjoy that. So,
We not only buy things, we own most of the wealth. We control most of the wealth. We're talking billions and billions of dollars. And then on top of that, it's not that we do like to buy things, but on top of that, for whatever reason, women are also the major purchasing decision makers in their households. And I'm not talking brand of toothpaste or toilet paper.
right.
We are talking big ticket items, cars, homes, second homes, vacations, educations. I mean, these are not, pay with your pocket change kind of items. Big brands are missing out if they're not targeting us.
Very true. So, what are you doing to reach out to those brands, those types of brands?
That is a great question. So I have started organically, right? Grassroots, just being visible, making all the women that participate in Kuel Life, all the thought leaders, all the members. I just keep promoting and pushing them out on all the social media platforms, making noise, working on sort of, this is kind of dull and this is going to bore your audience, but there are some technical aspects that you need to work on to drive traffic so that your message can be seen and can be read and enjoyed and then shared. I work on some of that stuff too, which is not sexy, right? Which isn't like the, podcast interviews and, media tours and that kind of stuff. But
Mhm.
you kind of have to look at the whole package and you have to work from the inside out and also from the outside in. So, and any chance I get to speak to a group of people, any chance I get to send the message out that normalizing aging is really the only path forward, because I don't know a single solitary human that when pushed will not choose aging. I mean, no, we might not like it. We
Right.
might not like the way it feels, but holy cow, it's way better than the alternative. Everybody wants to stick around. So
Right.
there's got to be a
Definitely.
reason we all want to stick around, right?
Well, that and there's so much wisdom there. You know what I mean? To have thought leaders on Kuel Life. These are people who have walked the walk, talked the talk, they've been down the path. So the information is there in their heads and they're feeding it to the world. So the wisdom's there. No one wants to lose that wisdom. So put it in one place where people can find it. And that's beautiful. I love going to read the articles personally because it's uplifting. I love the recent one on fashion because honestly, I feel lost lately when it comes to fashion. Coming out of COVID, I literally wear leggings. I needed some help with that. So that was a great article.
Yeah. And there are some really easy, simple tips in the last one, right? I mean, I think it was like 5 fashion tips and not, you don't have to go and redo your entire wardrobe. And I hear a lot from women also that as they age, they start to get into this mind space of, can I still wear that? Or what can't I wear? Or what should I wear? And, I hate this because it may sound like it's a frivolous thing, right? Who cares what you're wearing? But they say the clothes make the man. I mean, these idioms exist for a reason. We do feel differently. If we are showered and done up and gussied up, you feel differently than if you're in a pair of sweatpants, right? And I want women to know that just because they're older, just because they might have gained a few pounds, just because they don't have the body that they had at 30 or 40, doesn't mean that they can't make a fashion statement, whatever that is for themselves. And so, yes, I am very grateful to our fashion thought leaders because they bring it. They bring the goods to our community. And I'm really happy about that because I'm fashionably inept. You don't want my fashion advice, but it's good that we have people who know what they're talking about.
No, I love that. I mean, and you have people who know what they're talking about in so many areas, like even the financial side. And I was just recently talking to a group of women, and I told them, I said, ladies, you've got to know the money. Even if you're married, like it's so important that you know the money, what's happening. Because what if something happens to your spouse? That kind of leaves you in a lurch if you don't know what's happening financially with the money.
And it's tough for some women. It's tough for us, especially the older generation. We were just not brought up that way. A lot of us were not brought up that way. The messages that we got between, Walt Disney and I can bring home the bacon, fry it up in the pan and never let you forget you're the man commercials. And it was all about being there for other people, being there for your man, find someone to take care of you. Your job is to get a husband and have babies. That's not your job. It's a choice, it's available to you, but the messaging was just really there. And so I think a lot of women have issues around money because of that. But we're making changes, Monica. We are. And you're so right. And how do we do that? We do that by bringing those thought leaders, those experts in those categories, and having them share their wisdom, having them share their knowledge in a very empowering, kind way. We address tough issues. We do. Right. The feel of Kuel Life has always been and will always be that of kindness first and empowerment. But we will tell you the hard stuff. We will. We're not going to lie to you. But there's you don't have to be mean about it.
Yeah, totally agree. Earlier, you mentioned messaging and positioning and sticking and staying with that. And I think that's such a great takeaway from this for up and coming entrepreneurs, because your messaging, I remember I met you on Clubhouse, and I can remember the first time you spoke that normalizing aging for women, that has been something you've said the entire time that I've known you for over now a year. Well, I always think about like musical artists, how they probably feel just like that because they have to sing the same songs over and over because they know the audience wants to hear the popular songs, right?
Yep.
And as people in business, we have to repeat ourselves over and over so our customers know what we do, who we are, and how we can serve them.
100%. You're right. Yeah. And also the personality of the business. Every business has a personality.
Yes.
Whether you like it or not, you have one. So you can either have it happen to you, or you can be proactive in the personality that you want to give your business. In my case, my personality in Kuel Life, the Kuel Life personality just happens to be my personality.
Yeah, which is a cool personality, a kick-ass personality, a take no prisoners personality. I mean, I love it. It's something that draws me to Kuel Life and draws me to you, Jack, honestly, because I even told my husband, I said, I have this goal of running a 5K each month this year. And I said, well, after this year, I think I may work on a black belt. I'm not sure yet, but I may work towards that. And honestly, that's all inspired by you, Jack, honestly. It really is.
If you decide to go down that path, my friend, I will totally, if you need an accountability partner or someone to pester you or ask you about it, I will be honored to take that role on.
Well, I appreciate that. So Jack, tell people, how can they get involved? How can they get in touch with Kuel Life and stay connected and learn from your platform?
Yeah, great question. Just if you want to receive the information, I send out a newsletter every Sunday that goes with like coffee on Sunday. it highlights all the main articles for that week. So it gives you a synopsis, everything from what are the 5 fashion tips every woman over 50 should know to, how to become financially empowered after a divorce, whatever it is, they all come in a synopsis. So you can just sign up for that. You can sign up for that on the website itself, which is Kuel Life is spelled Kuel life.com. The other thing is, if anyone in your audience is a thought leader in an area that is relevant to women in midlife and beyond, send me a note, reach out to me. Always looking to expand the roster of thought leaders that are available to women in the world. So why would I say no? I mean, the table, I can always add more seats to this table. I don't have an issue with that. And then also, if any of your listeners happen to be product, like they have a product, they're entrepreneurs, but they sell something and they want another vehicle by which to get their products to market, have them reach out to me, because if it fits, if it's a good, solid fit and relevant to women, then let's put it in the curated shopping experience. Once again, I tell people, like, I built Kuel Life. Yes, I run Kuel Life, but it belongs to all of us. It really does. I mean, you want to be part of it? Please be part of it. So that's basically it. Yeah.
And I would just say, if there's anyone out there who's connected to a big brand, to reach out to Jack, because it is a huge market space of women in this area of midlife that you can reach and tap into. Make sure you do that as well. Jack, it has been such a pleasure to have you on the podcast. I'm so excited, and I can't wait to see Kuel Life in 5 years. And I also visualized, as you were talking about that, I saw you having some type of midlife women come hang out conference type thing. I'm excited about it. I just put that on your plate.
Thank you. I'll just, right after we get back from Tuscany, because I am taking a group of women to Tuscany from Kuel Life, and we are planning the next trip. As a matter of fact, I just sent out a survey so women can choose where we go next. But I'll have to add that big midlife conference. I might do that for my 60th birthday, by the way. I've been thinking, it's interesting that you said that. I've been kind of thinking, what would I want to do for my 60th birthday? And I would want to bring all of our Kuel Life community together for that. That would just be so much fun, but I haven't figured that out yet.
Okay. Well, we have a couple of years.
I'll be 58 this summer. So yeah, a couple of years.
Yeah. Okay. So we have some goals here around. Well, you have big goals already, but this is another one. I'm excited about it.
Yeah. I've been thinking about that. So it's interesting that you said that.
Yeah. Well, I'll definitely sign up to attend. I'll be there. So you have one participant already.
one birthday party goer.
Yes. Jack, thank you so much. This has been so great.
Oh, Monica, thank you. It's always a joy to spend time with you. And I love your podcast, and I'm honored to now be a guest as well.
And I'm so glad you are. Yay.